one day they step on the scale and after putting in all this time and effort, and the weight stays the same, or the number is the same, or the number is higher than it was when they first started. And that can be incredibly frustrating for people. So the first thing that I noticed when I got the Hume Health Body Pod, the bioanalyzer, is it's pretty easy to use. You just open the app, step on the body pod, you grab the handle, stand there, and it just immediately starts taking reading. That's pretty cool. Super easy to use. The other thing I noticed is as soon as I started using it, here it is right here. When I first started using it, the numbers were just crazy all over the place. And I was like, that's not right. It's not 98% accurate. How can they say this is 98% accurate? And that's because I didn't realize that in the first week or two, it has to calibrate to your body. So at first I didn't know that, and so it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, and I was thinking, this thing's a piece of junk. That's actually normal. That's what it's supposed to do. Super highly sophisticated scientific piece of equipment. Really cool. And after about a week and a half, the numbers started to mellow out and then started to be what I thought it should be, and now it's definitely accurate. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you decide to get one. The other thing that's really cool is now it's advertised as 98% accurate compared to DEXA scan, right? DEXA scan is the number one way to go, and I'd love to get a DEXA scan or go and have a DEXA scan, right? But you have to find it in somewhere, and I'm looking for one in my area, and then you have to schedule the appointment, then you have to wait for that day, then you have to go to the appointment, then you have to pay a bunch of money, and then do the scan, and then wait for the results. That would be awesome to do, but it's also very complicated. There's a reason I haven't done it yet because of all those different steps. What I like about the Body Pod is that you can just use it anytime you want. You don't have to go through all those steps. Eventually, I will get a DEXA scan, definitely. And I'd like to compare the Body Pod to the DEXA scan and see just how close they are. Someday I'm going to do that. But for now, I can just step on the Body Pod anytime I want and get my readout, and it's pretty awesome. The other thing that I notice is, man, it's really cool that it can measure 40 different biometrics. And at first I was like, I don't need all of that. All I really wanted was to be able an accurate, easy way to measure my body composition. I am a keto coach, and I have worked with people one-on-one to help them lose weight. I'm also a health coach, which is a little bit broader, right? And I focus on longevity. But when I'm working with people to help them lose weight, one thing that I tell them is only step on the scale once a week, do it on the same day each week, and the same time of that day each week, because your body weight will fluctuate during the day. And it can be really frustrating to step on the scale in the morning one day and then step on the scale in the evening another day and see that the scale says you've gained weight, when in actuality you might just be retaining a little bit of water at that time of day. So with that in mind, that's sort of the backdrop here. The thing that's important about the Body Pod, the Hume Health Body Pod, is that when you step on a scale, you don't know what is measured in that weight. You get one reading, your weight, and you don't know what's making up that weight. So here's an example of what is very, very common. So someone has decided, okay, you know what, I want to get into shape and I want to lose some weight. So they work really hard to adjust their diet, and they're doing really, really good, putting in a lot of effort, measuring and tracking everything, and then they're weighing themselves on the scale. Another thing that they might do, is very common in this case, is, well, I want to get in shape, so I'm going to start exercising. And then they get a gym membership, maybe they get a trainer, and start doing some resistance training. And then one day they step on the scale, and after putting in all this time and effort, and the weight stays the same, or the number is the same, or the number is higher than it was when they first started. And that can be incredibly frustrating for people. What? Hey, none of this is working. Why am I even trying? How come that guy over there can lose weight and she can lose weight, but I can't? What's the problem? When what's really going on here very commonly is that, hey, they started strength training, and in the first 90 days, your body is very responsive to strength training. And they could have lost weight. They could have lost fat, right? Which is generally when someone says, I want to lose weight, that's what they're talking about. Their fat percentage could have gone down, but they've gained a little bit of muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. And so even though their body composition has changed, their weight has stayed the same or gone up. And actually, their body composition has changed in a positive way. But they can't see that because they're just looking at a regular scale, just looking at the weight, and they don't know what's making up that weight. That's the awesome thing about I'll show you again, the Hume Body Pod, is that in those 40 different metrics that it can measure, it separates out what's making up that weight. You could see how much muscle mass you have. You can see your body fat percentage, and it breaks it down even left arm, left leg, right leg, and you can see how each body part is measuring. It goes that granular, that detailed. The most important reason I wanted to have the Hume Body Pod was because I wanted to measure body composition. I wanted to see, am I gaining muscle and losing fat if I'm trying to re-comp, so to speak, right? And right now, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my weight to about 165, but my body fat percentage to 10%. And eventually I might adjust those numbers. If I can gain a little more muscle, that would be awesome. That's another thing with the Hume Body Pod is that they have this thing called your health journey, and you basically put in your goals for different parameters, and then it will track your progress against those goals. I haven't quite set that up yet. That's something that I think is really exciting. Now, going back to these 40 different biometrics, and I don't pay attention to all of them, but I have realized lately that it's pretty cool to be able to measure your body water percentage, for example. And the reason I say that is because I'm getting ready to do an experiment on myself taking higher amounts of creatine. And I'm anxious to see if taking higher amounts of creatine is going to mean that I'm going to retain a little more water. So that's kind of cool. There's a whole bunch of other things with the different metrics that the Body Pod can track. Looking at those and seeing which ones are important to track is pretty cool, knowing that you can do that. I've been using the Body Pod now for, I think it's 2.5 months, maybe going on 3 months. I don't know, I have to look at the time. What I've noticed, and this is probably one of the best things and something I didn't expect, and that is there's something called the Hawthorne effect. And that is that when someone is being watched or tracked, they tend to modify their behavior. That is key. And what I've noticed is that I'm thinking about my numbers. I'm thinking about, okay, my weight is here and my body percentage is here, my fat percentage is here, and it makes me think twice about the way that I'm eating. And I've noticed that I am naturally eating less overall. Certainly much less prone to eating things that are not on my diet plan, my goal in terms of eating only whole foods. So I've noticed that naturally I am eating less calories and I'm eating more whole foods, more protein. It's really interesting to see that is happening, and I really like it. I think that's important for everybody. Anybody that has any kind of health goal, particularly when you're measuring muscle mass and your body fat percentage, basically your weight overall and everything that means. It's an incredibly awesome tool for doing that. Now, if you're interested in getting a Hume Health Body Pod and trying it for it yourself, I have a link for you down below. You can save 15%. And that discount actually stacks on any sales that they might be having. At the time of this recording, they're actually having a sale, and you can get an additional discount on top of the sales price. That's pretty awesome. The other thing that I didn't realize until they pointed out to me is that this is actually an HSA qualified expense. So if you have an HSA or an FSA, then you can actually use that to purchase your Hume Health. It's covered. And in some cases, it actually might be covered by your health insurance. Don't ask me what plans, don't ask me what providers will do that or what situation requires that, because I don't know. You'll have to check with your provider. I just know that it's potentially covered by your health insurance. That's awesome. So they make it really, really easy for you to have one, particularly if money is tight. So as a health coach and just as a regular person who has some health goals and I'm trying to make progress, man, I love this thing. I love the Hume Health Body Pod. It is easily one of the coolest things that I own now, and it's fun. It's really fun. So hope this is helpful if you're thinking about getting one for yourself. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Have a great day. See you next time.